What's the worst thing you've ever found on your kid's computer? I used to brag to other parents about how perfect my son was until I found his laptop. After my wife died 3 years ago, raising Preston became my entire world, and I thought I was doing great. Every day at 5:30 sharp, he'd walk through the door from volunteering at the nursing home and tell me about the residents while I cooked. Other fathers complained about their teenagers, but Preston never gave me trouble. Teachers loved him, parents envied me, and I thanked God every night for giving me such a good kid. The nursing home director called him their best volunteer ever. He knew every resident by name and spent extra time with the ones who never got visitors. When holidays came around, he used his allowance to buy gifts for the loneliest ones. While his friends were getting caught drinking, Preston was organizing bingo nights for dementia patients. One night, I was fixing a leaky pipe in the basement when I heard strange notification sounds from upstairs. Not Preston's regular phone sound, but something like a cash register going off repeatedly. I knew he was studying at his friend's house, so the noise confused me. After the 5th or 6th ding, I went upstairs to check. The sound was coming from his room, muffled but persistent. His laptop sat open on his desk with the screen dark but not fully asleep. When I touched the trackpad to wake it up, my stomach dropped. 5 browser tabs showed different dating profiles on senior companionship websites. Each profile featured a different older man with military backgrounds and widower sob stories. Messages were pouring in from elderly women responding to these fake profiles. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. When Preston came home an hour later, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a laptop in front of me. His face went white when he saw what was on the screen. He started crying immediately, which should have been my first warning because Preston never cried. Even when he broke his collarbone playing basketball, he barely flinched. Through his tears, he swore he was just helping a lonely resident set up profiles because the man was too embarrassed to ask family for help. I wanted to believe him so badly that I almost did, but something felt wrong. The next morning, I took the laptop to a computer specialist downtown and asked him to look deeper. For $800 cash, he spent 3 hours showing me what my son had really been doing. There were hundreds of conversations, multiple money transfer apps, and detailed spreadsheets tracking different personas and their corresponding victims. The specialist pulled up conversation after conversation where these fake military widowers promised marriage and begged for money. One woman had sent $40,000 for cancer treatment. Another had mortgaged her house to help her fiancé pay off debt. But the worst part was finding the chat logs where Preston taught other teenagers how to do the same thing. He'd written actual guides on identifying wealthy seniors and building trust through fake tragedy. That afternoon, I sat in my car outside the computer shop and vomited in a paper bag. When I got home, Preston was at the kitchen table doing homework like nothing was wrong. I set the printed evidence in front of him and watched his face change as he realized I knew everything. This time there were no tears, no desperate lies. He looked me straight in the eye and said the words that still haunt me every single night. They were already dying alone, Dad. At least this way they died thinking someone loved them. I gave them 3 months of happiness for their money. Hospice care would have cost them more and given them less. He said it like he was explaining a math problem, like he couldn't understand why I was upset. My son, who spent his afternoons reading to lonely seniors, saw nothing wrong with stealing their life savings as long as he made them feel loved first. I spent 3 days staring at my phone, unable to eat or sleep. This was my baby, the last piece of my wife, the kid I'd raised alone and been so proud of. But then I thought about all those women who'd given everything they had to someone who didn't exist. On the 4th morning, I called the FBI. Within a week, they arrested Preston and 6 other teenagers across 3 states. The investigation uncovered over $2 million stolen from elderly victims. At sentencing, I sat in the gallery as woman after woman testified about believing they'd found love in their final years. One victim held my hand, while the judge gave Preston 7 years in federal prison. As the bailiffs led him away in handcuffs, my son looked back at me and said the 5 words that destroyed me completely. He didn't say sorry, or I love you, or even I hate you. He said, "This is why Mom gave up," and in that moment I knew I'd never really known my son at all.